What is up, guys? Heath with Lake Champlain Sanitation here, and on this episode of Trash Talk, I've got Caleb with me. He has got a really cool setup for any of you guys that have ever been out there looking to get into the roll-off business. Do I go truck? Do I go trailer? Caleb took the best of both worlds. He, to my knowledge, is one of the only people in the country that I've seen with this setup, and we're going to get into that here in just a minute. But Caleb, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, Caleb Moss, live in Portland, Tennessee. We service Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. We started off with a junk removal service. We also do weekly trash service. And 4 years ago, we got into the dumpsters. We have an Isuzu MPR with a 16-foot dump bed. We use that for our junk removal, our weekly trash service. And then with our 5,500 gram that we have, we also use it with the trash service, and we run our dumpsters. We have 10 PJ Rollster dumpsters.
That's awesome, man. So you are covering the full array of services, just like myself. Guys, we're going to put his social medias in here. Check him out. He's very active on Facebook. I think you're active in some of the groups too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
You're really jumping in and giving back to the groups, which is really awesome. We've been in business about the same time, which is really cool. One thing I did want to ask you, because I'm not sure, do you have employees or do you do most of this yourself?
My wife takes care of the scheduling of the dumpsters and does all the paperwork. And then I have one employee that works with me every day on the trash route and doing the junk removal pickups. Back, I don't know, a month or two ago, we were looking at hiring somebody else, and then that just really didn't pan out. So we're just taking it day by day, getting everything done that we can. So.
Now, how many days a week, before we get into the setup, guys, because this PJ setup, I'm telling you, we're gonna put pictures in just a couple minutes, but this setup, I'm so excited to bring you guys this. You probably saw it in the thumbnail, but with the garbage itself, like, are you finding, how many days a week are you doing it?
Back starting the 1st of November, we moved to 4 days a week. We were doing, it's not really going to make sense to anybody else, but we were doing basically 2 cities. When I'm talking cities, it's rural, outside of the city limits trash pickup. We were doing 2 different cities, and when my employee would be sick or kids sick or whatever, it would be pushed. We were doing about 150 houses in those 2 areas. And when it would just be one person, normally we run 2 trucks. So we were each picking up about 70, 75 houses. And it's just, the area is so spread out. So now we moved the 50 in the one area to Tuesdays. So now we're picking up about 50 on Tuesday, 80 on Wednesday, 100 on Thursday, and 100 on Fridays. And we're getting those 100 houses picked up in about 2.5 hours with 2 trucks. But like you've always talked about, it's getting everything route density. And I know you had mentioned in the past about you when you first started out with the trash route, you bought a route. And I think you had said you probably wouldn't go that route again. But up until 3 or 4 months ago, I grew everything organically. There was another trash service in the area. I'm real good friends with him. He's kind of scaling back and growing in the area that he's at. So we just purchased 130 houses from him, and at the first of the year, we're purchasing another 100. And we're talking about on roads that we're already on. So it's just, and I'm to the point where I can take the income from the trash route and just pay back the loans, and that's all I'm using. So in 2 months' time, I pay back a $10,000 loan.
Wow.
Just from that.
Wow. So. Dude, that is awesome. So it sounds like you're definitely doing things smarter than I did, for lack of a better term, but you're similar. It's very similar how it's pretty cool that even in a different state, maybe not halfway across the country, but almost. You're doing things very similar, and that's very exciting. You're going to be in that 500-600 mark, it sounds like, by the time it's all said and done.
Well, it should put us at around 450,
Okay.
and like we're as I mentioned, and if you want to throw a thumbnail in of our Isuzu as well, I think we have one of the largest junk removal trucks in the industry. It's a 28 cubic yard Isuzu. When we bought our dumpsters 4 years ago, it changed the game because why could I was charging like $400 to fill up a 28 yard Isuzu. Why would I do that when I can drop off a dumpster for a week for $300 back 4 years ago? It changed the game to I can charge $800-900 to fill up our Isuzu now.
Yes, that's
And
crazy, crazy efficient.
we've had the Isuzu 5-6 years now, and I'm getting ready to buy a second one at the first of the year, maybe a little bit after that. But just it really changes the game how you look at everything differently.
Yeah, I mean, in a game where, size definitely matters from a standpoint of value. If the customer has a garage full of junk and you show up with a 13-14 yard dumpster and you fill it right up, you might have to go back to maybe even a third half load time, where if you can just put all of it in that big truck. I mean, of course you want to be careful, that sounds like a good sized truck. And like you said, guys, you see pictures of it here, but that's awesome, man. I mean, I heard on a podcast, I feel like people forget the name of the podcast. I listen to a lot. I shouldn't. I think it's Trash Talk Business Podcast, actually. It's on Spotify. They talked about box trucks and your truck's dumps though, right? It's
Right.
full blown dump, but yeah. And then like a box truck is, especially if it's like 20 feet long. I mean, you can fit a lot of junk in it, but you're hand unloading it, which, we all know we don't want to do that after we just hand load it. So,
I mean, we've been doing this 10-11 years now. And I started out with a Chevy S10 and a 10-foot trailer.
yep.
I mean, we did it for 5-6 years and unloading everything by hand. We started with 2 weekly trash pickup customers until I got 85 houses. We didn't have the Isuzu. We were unloading 2-3 times a day in the back of a 3/4 ton pickup with plywood sides on it. I mean,
Would you say that your growth, and that's where I misheard you, so I apologize. Would you say a lot of your growth has been in the last few years since you've started to have all three services? Your equipment's your Ram truck is really fancy. I know I keep alluding to it here. We're going to talk about it. Well, would you say the last few years you've really put the pedal down?
Yes. And as far as that, we know what we're capable of. We're capable of some good sized jobs. And you hear everybody saying no job too small, like smaller services in our area, but we've done jobs $13,000-14,000 that I wouldn't bat an eye to do again. It's just you know what you're capable of. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, that's a big size job for any of you guys out there. 15 grand on a junk removal job, unless you're taking down a house, that's a good job. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. The biggest reason that I think you're going to go semi-viral is this badass Ram 5500 with a PJ Rollster, guys. And I said that right. I'm going to butcher this, but it's basically the frame and the system, the winch system of the Rollster, except on a Ram 5500 chassis, hauling the same dumpsters that a lot of us out here started with a trailer. And we're going to throw a picture of it in right here. Nick's going to handle that. And then Caleb, tell us about this thing. What gave you the idea? Who put it together? What did it cost? Give us all the beans on this thing.
So 4 years ago, we bought our PJ Rollster and we bought 5 dumpsters. As soon as I made that deposit, I'm like, these aren't standard rail. We're not going to be able to just go out and buy any dumpster. But I got to thinking when we decided we were going to, what gave me that thought? Well, it's kind of like a marriage. You just don't throw it away. You got all this money invested. If something happened, so what? 2 years. It'll be 2 years ago in November when well, we've been running the truck now, and I've still got the PJ Rollster. I've got a 3500 Chevy that I started picking up, doing the dumpsters with. And I can go outside and jump the battery off, and I can have a second setup ready to go. There was so many times, and we got into, hey, you like the last guy that you did, not the one that'd be not your next trash talk, but the one before that.
Yep.
He said he couldn't get into some driveways. Same thing. There was so many times you go back behind a house, somebody wanted back behind the house, and you couldn't do it there. But not only that, this is a very small aspect of it, but I had, with my setup before, it was like 75, 80 feet with a 3500 truck, a 12-foot flatbed. It has a lift gate on it, which is great for junk removal. But then you put this PJ Rollster trailer, a 14-foot bin, and just think about how much space you're walking back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
You can get in so many tighter areas, less tires, less maintenance. And we're talking about a truck that's our backup trash truck now. This truck has 496,000 miles on it.
Wow.
We were having breakdowns. Like one time you said you had to use your half-ton truck. I've also got a 1500 Chevy, and at times we had to use it with our PJ Rollster. Wow. You're talking about a 4,000-pound trailer on a half-ton truck. That just doesn't last. So had the idea back and forth, okay, we got to do something, but I'm not getting rid of these dumpsters. So I have there was a guy that owned a local flatbed, like truck bed manufacturer. And they had sold the business. Well, he does like trailer repair, brakes, welding, that kind of, and hydraulic repairs, stuff like that. I went to him and I'm like, hey, I've got this trailer here. Can we recreate it? So he's like, I don't see why we couldn't. And before anybody asked, no, he will not do another one. I hate to say that, but it took, it's not as simple as, hey, just build this rail system and put it. It's a lot goes into it as far as what to make it work. You'll think, oh, well, it's just going from a trailer to a truck, but you got to think I have 4 foot sticking out of the back of when my dumpster's loaded. There's 4 foot to accommodate getting from the height of the truck down to the ground to pick up the dumpster. It's just a lot of things like that you don't think about. So we ordered a 2021 Ram 5500 4-wheel drive. I love the color gray, so it's granite crystal metallic. It's what, I don't know if I said, but it's 4-wheel drive. We do 99% of transfer stations, but we still go in the snow, ice, get off in people's grass. So we got 4-wheel drive. I ordered the truck. It's got the 8.4 radio. It's got everything you want. If you're gonna order it and spend the kind of money, it's there. So basically, he took my trailer, took all the measurements on it, had it for a few days. I was able to use it for a few days, and we're talking about like a month and a half. So, and this is pre-COVID of metal prices spiking, getting parts availability on it. So I've got probably about 20 grand in just the hoist roll-off system. When you see the pictures of it, my biggest downfall is the tarp system. There's not much room. Like you have the auto tarp, hydraulic up and down, electric out.
Yep.
If anybody's familiar with a B-Wise trailer, they have a spring-loaded tarp system on theirs, on their dump trailers. and I went to a BY's trailer dealer and got the tarp system off of it. Because over the years, you have people that you'll rent out a dumpster with a skid steer or loading a dumpster with a skid steer. If you know the PJ Roasters, they all have their tarp systems. You know how many tarp brackets and tarps I've replaced just because somebody's loading it with a skid steer? They don't care. It's like a rental property. They bust it back. Well, that's not my fault.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
A lot for us. The bearings, they would slam into it and bend, then it couldn't take it out, and then the tarp doesn't even want to work. And yeah, that was not fun.
So, and not only, yes, we have 10 PJ dumpsters. Honestly, I know they're more expensive, but there is a local manufacturer that does all kinds of different sized dumpsters, and they're very, very well priced, and they can build a Max D, PJ, Texas Pride, whatever it may be. So if we do get more dumpsters, when I say if we do, we will. But we've been picking up used here and there at pretty good prices. So the last two, the third one, 8 was bought new. We actually, y'all might find this kind of interesting. My daughter started preschool in July, and we bought her a dumpster. And she's got her own savings account. So the preschool's $200 a week. And
Wow.
I just put the payment every week from a dumpster in an account. And at any time, she's got $2,000 or $3,000 set in an account to pay for preschool.
Dude, that is awesome. That is really cool. I love that.
And she, I may even want to throw in the thumbnail of her. She'll sit there and load a dumpster at 3.5 years old.
Dude, we'll throw a picture in right here if you got one. That's awesome. So you build it, 20 grand in the setup. We all know those trucks are 70, 80,000 probably 70 for the chassis, the way you had it. It's got the Cummins in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I live in an old house, but I've got more in the truck than I owe on my house.
Dude,
So.
I joke about that. And, I don't think I've ever mentioned this on here, but just so you guys know my current living situation. I mean, my wife, of course, keeps it clean and everything, which is, blessed. But this house we bought before the COVID peak of housing. So we actually got a good deal on it. And the compactor truck that I bought was only I think $14,000 less than the house. So I feel you there. That's real talk, guys. You're only going to find that on these trash talk episodes. But yeah, current housing situation. Yeah, my 2 trucks are definitely worth way more than the house I live in when you combine them together. So I feel you there, dude.
But it's what makes that house payment too, though. So,
dude, that's just it. I mean, that's what's so cool about talking to other small haulers like us is in the beginning, one day, if you want to have that few $100,000 house or some fancy house or whatever, at least where I live, you can get a decent house for, 400,000 or 500,000 is a really nice house on some little piece of land. But these trucks in the beginning, really, when you invest in them, you can make your money back I don't want to say fast, but the cash flow is good when the equipment is new, you work it properly, you service it properly from day one. I know we said we weren't going to go on a crazy rant here, but can you just tell the guys kind of one of our last thoughts here is, what are some of your service tricks, being that you do have multiple trucks of multiple ages in all 3 of the businesses?
Find a repair shop, a small repair shop that you can use that they will give you 30 days to pay. Do whatever you can, but I've got a great place that they do tires, and they do all the tires and heavy equipment maintenance and whatnot, that they give me 30 days to pay. Here's a crazy one. We have two gas trucks. I have a 500-gallon fuel tank in my house. I don't have to sit there and go get gas at the end of the day. Most everybody in the junk removal service, I know this is going off on a little bit different of what kind of the same, but you were talking more maintenance. but most everybody runs out and gets the blue grip gloves, like at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can buy those in a case on Amazon, and they are much cheaper. Same quality, but much cheaper. I've back over here behind me, I've got a case of 120 pairs of gloves that we just keep a bundle of 10 of them in the truck, and it saves money, time. Okay, we're not having to run in here and stop at Home Depot or Lowe's and grab a pair of gloves.
I think that's huge. I mean, you're becoming, the maintenance on the trucks is important, but also the maintenance on the checking account is even more important. So when you can do those little tricks, man, that's great. You actually just gave me an idea. I mean, I think I buy the gloves by the dozen, but if I can buy them like big packs, dude, that's a great idea.
I know you said you'd throw out social media, but there is I've got a video on my YouTube channel. There's not a whole lot of videos out there, but there's top 5 tools. I did a kind of a series of top 5 tools used for junk removal.
Okay.
I haven't highlighted on the junk removal side of things much, but that is a good for somebody that's starting out. Hey, what are good? Somebody that's been doing this 10, 11 years. What do they have on the truck every day? It's good to see.
Dude, I like that. So what I'll do is we will put the link, guys, to that exact video. I'll just copy it from your channel. We'll put it right in the description of this video down below. That way I think that's a really good resource for anyone that's looking for those top tools. And that's a great video topic. So we'll throw that in here on the bottom. For the future of the company, what does your future look like for the company? And as kind of a closing statement, like what do you see the next couple years, or if not 5 years, for you guys?
As far as weekly, we were doing stuff quite a bit big the last 3 or 4 months, and then upcoming months with the trash route. We're, like I said earlier, we bought 130 houses back in August. We'll buy another 100 in the end of January, or end of December, and start in January. I just placed a order to Auto for 175 96-gallon cans.
Who did you deal with?
John, I believe was his name.
Sean?
Right.
Sean, I told
John.
you. Oh, John. Oh, okay. Sorry. I just talked to Sean from Auto, and I was just going to say shout out to Sean, but if it was John, whoever took the credit. Anyway, Sean, I told you we were going to be talking about your brand on some of these videos. So anyway, keep going. Sorry. I had to throw that in.
And then, like I said, our Isuzu, I don't know what you guys did when you ran the dump trailer setups for picking up trash, but in the last 8 years that I've picked up household trash, we get in there and we stomp it down. It's probably not the safest. I mean, still poking, but you got to do what you got to do to make things work. With our Isuzu, we can get about 85 houses, just depending on the flow of trash. We're getting ready to purchase another Isuzu, and then when we get in the 650 mark right now, or after the first year, we should be around 450. So I need to get another 200 houses weekly. So that would put us at 650 to justify the payment on a compactor. Like I said earlier, we're running 2 trucks a day. So, I mean, we're able to pick up 160 houses in 4 hours with 2 trucks, and still do junk removal and dumpsters after that.
Yep.
So it works now, but I feel like when we start getting up there, the packer payment would be justifiable.
That's exactly how I looked at it. And I can tell you from experience, like we just picked up that F-250. We have the dump trailer to back it up, and obviously the hook lift in a worst case scenario. But the packer being able to do 150, 160 stops easily with one truck, with one guy in a day, the efficiency, I can tell you from experience, I love it. I mean, it's awesome. And I mean, it's a big stepping stone. It's a huge payment. It's a big purchase. But when I think that 600 mark is a real good time to start, I agree with you. that's when you're seriously knocking on the door, especially if you're the one doing it sometimes, or a lot of the time.
And two more points I'll make. There's been many times we'll have a small junk removal pickup scheduled, and I'll go pick up a dumpster. There'll still be room on the top of the dumpster. You can go make $200-300 on top of a $350 dumpster rental.
Yep.
Or throw it on top of the trash route, whatever it may be, and before you go unload.
Yep.
In the PJ Rollster, they're 13.6 cubic yards. You can get about 60-65 houses,
Yes.
weekly trash customers in it.
That's exactly what we used to do. No, I have
one thing, my wife's standing over the side, but one thing that I'm probably not I had the idea out there, and I was probably one of the first people. If you ever seen people building up the sides on the PJ Rollsters Max D dumpsters, I was probably one of the first people out there that actually posted pictures of that being done.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Did you do a video of that or just the pictures?
I think it was just the pictures just got floating around, and so
it makes a lot of sense, and that's awesome. And the fact that you got a full decade in the industry is really cool. I'm sure a lot of knowledge. And like I said, guys, I'm going to put his social medias here. Definitely go give him a follow on YouTube, Facebook. I know he's very active. I see him a lot on there myself. Do you have one thing? I do this at the end of every video. One thing to an aspiring trash hauler, junk removal man, dumpster rental guy that in the last 11 years, if you could go back to day one, what would you say the most important thing they need to keep in mind is?
You know, this really hits home this week, Heath. I'm going to try not to get emotional when I say this. Keep money setting aside. Have a savings account. Up until today, we had done 6 junk removal jobs this week. If it wasn't for a savings account, my wife works from home, does paperwork, schedules dumpsters. We don't have an income other than this business. My employee got paid, but I had to get paid out of a savings account this week. It's just, that's what it's there for. And all your followers, yeah, I'm starting to get emotional about it. But if I didn't have that to fall back on, have something to fall back on if you're relying on this income. I did this for 5 or 6 years, 40-hour week job, and I would do a junk removal pickup after I got off work. I would go during my lunch, or I would eat my lunch at my 9 o'clock break. I would go to the scrap yard at my lunch break. And before I got to work, started work at 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever it was. And I would be at the dump waiting to unload. I put in my time, I know, but you don't have that 40-hour work check. And once you get employees, you got somebody else's family relying on you. You've got to know where your prices are, and you've got to know from the beginning where you need to be at.
That is very good and such real life stuff. It's funny, like I feel like no matter how big you get or how profitable you can make a month, like you're always going to, especially around this time of year, have that time where the money gets tight, the phone slows down, and you are 100% right. Having that rainy day fund, guys, is going to make the payments, get food on the table. Like he said, all the revenue was the employee. It is not unfortunate. It is what it is. You are a business owner. Like you are paying for someone else's life. So like he said, being responsible enough to have the money there to get you through these times is probably what I would say would make or break the majority of people in this business, because it is so cash intensive. Like, yeah, you can get financing on trucks and stuff like that, but like just the day-to-day operations can be so expensive. Insurance is expensive, and having that rainy day fund, whether you got 30 days of money, 90 days of money, 180 days of money, whatever, having enough to get you through the weeks, because you could have a week where you bang out 16 jobs and then have one job the next week. So
I mean, honestly, we generally schedule 4 to 5 jobs a day,
yeah.
and we did pretty up until today. And here's something I'll throw out: if you've got apartment complexes, that's where you need to get into. It is consistent money each month.
Yep.
We clean up around the dumpster pads, do bulk furniture pickup. Right now, I've got 4 TV boxes. I've got 3 couches, mattresses. I'm fixing to leave and go unload the truck so we can start on the trash route at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, that right there, that statement is like the best way to end this video, because I know you got to get back to work. We just wanted to squeeze this in. We had slight technical difficulties in the beginning, but we got it done. We got through it, just like we all have to do every single day on the trash trucks, right? And no, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm looking at the clock. I got to run as well to a little meeting this evening in town, but I really do appreciate you coming on, Caleb. Like I said multiple times, guys, check out his social medias, look at this video, give his channel a follow. He puts a lot of good information in for the industry, and he's a real success story of someone that is real talk, real shit. You know, you're no bullshit guy. I like that. I know you comment on a lot of videos. I really appreciate that as well. Putting your 2 cents in has been very helpful to me too. And yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Heath, I really appreciate what you do. I don't really like watching TV. I'll sit there for 2-3 hours in the night when I'm at night, and I watch videos on YouTube. Yep. So every time you post a video, I'm watching it. So
well, that's awesome, man. Well, this one will be coming out here. Like I told you, the order's a little in advance of course how we record these, but this one will be coming out here in the next couple weeks. And yeah, man, I have a good Thanksgiving. And this is being made before Thanksgiving, guys. So and have a good rest of your day, and get that job done safe.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, dude.